2 centuries ago, the hills above Halifax were being mined and quarried extensively. In 1896, some quarrying work took place in a field just above the Shibden Valley, and a strange and bizarre discovery was made in that field. Hey everybody, Matt back with you. Welcome to the dark side of the moor, and hope you're doing okay. And today I find myself back on one of Halifax's steepest paths. This is the old Wakefield Gate. It's a medieval route that linked Halifax to Wakefield. So at one point this was actually the main road, and it goes kind of from here, Halifax side, it's called South Owen Bank, just above us, up over Beacon Hill, down into the valley at the bottom, through the Magna Via, the old dark lane, a very interesting path which I may show you soon. However, our story takes place right at the top of the hill. Now, it is a very blustery day and we're going to be out in the open, so I'll try and speak to you up there if I can. If not, I'll do the usual voiceover. But our story is about some quarrying work that took place in 1896 in a field in Pump Lane, on top of the hill here. And an extraordinary discovery was made. They found in one corner a huge vault buried under the ground. Inside that vault was a large coffin. So now it started raining, but we're nearly there. I'm totally out of breath. You would be out of breath if you walked up here, believe me. It doesn't show how steep it is, and I'm not quite at the top yet. However, I shall defy the weather and the possible ghost of the hill and bring you the location of where the coffin was discovered and who was inside it. Okay, this is some weird weather, but you don't need to know about the weather. Almost there. Okay, so now we're on Pump Lane, and it's very windy still, sorry. But what we know is it was a field between Pump Lane and Dark Lane where we've just walked down. Now, obviously lots may have changed since 1896, not least things like this building behind me. So it could well be this field, or it could be this field, and if you look at the back you can see it's been all dug out in the past. However, because it's windy, I'm going to go a little bit further down and then I'll tell you what you've finally been waiting to hear. Sorry about this. Buried deep in the corner of the field was a stone vault holding an unusually large coffin, and inside was the well-preserved skeleton of a tall man, complete with what was described as an exceedingly good set of teeth on his upper jaw. A plate on the coffin revealed the name, Jonathan Walsh, born 1741, died February 11th, 1823, aged 82 years old. Okay, it's less windy here, so I'm going to tell you the story from here, knowing it is one of these fields nearby. But essentially, the people working on the quarry were moving stone in 1896, and in the bottom corner they found this vault, and they uncovered it and they opened it, and inside it was a large coffin. And inside that, because obviously this was in a field, it wasn't in a burial ground or anything like that, there was a plaque on it, and the plaque said that here lies the body of Jonathan Walsh, and he died in 1823. Now, Jonathan Walsh was known as being an eccentric, but also not a particularly nice man. He was known for a violent temper and just very, very mean. And his kind of joy in life was to basically sue people, and he was known to have spent at least £100 each year. And we're going back now, he was born in the 1700s. He was happiest when he was suing people for money and things like that. And he rode around Halifax on a mule with a whip. He was a landowner. These were his fields. He was also a mill owner, textile mill owner, and a moneylender, unsurprisingly, because he probably had a lot of it. But yeah, people were not very keen on him, especially the clergy. And if they ever saw Jonathan Walsh, it said that they would quite often run and hide so they didn't have to speak to him. Now, what he'd decided was that he was going to be buried on his land, and he put himself in in a corner of a field. He was buried in a kind of secret service in the middle of the morning, so nobody knew about it. And also his instructions were that his wife had to be buried in the opposite corner. His hatred of religion may explain the unusual burial. Walsh insisted on being buried on his own land. After his death, he was carried at midnight to this field, the pallbearers having to climb up Beacon Hill with a 6-foot-tall body. His burial took place by candlelight at 4 a.m, and in defiance of Christian convention, Walsh ordered that his head be placed to the east. However, it was once he was revealed to be there that the story takes an even stranger twist. It's interesting, I've never actually been down this lane before, but it's obviously been done recently. It's very well kept here, very clean, but I don't know quite how far down it goes, and I don't want to go too far and down into the valley, because I do want to show you the medieval route of the Magna Via, the old Halifax to Wakefield Gate. So I'm going to go and film the rest of the story from there, so do forgive me that if I'm out of location again. But when you see it, if you've not seen it before, I think you'll forgive me. Actually, one part of the story I should tell you before I leave here, Pump Lane, is actually that the track is said to have gone over where he was buried, and he did that deliberately, because then if anybody crossed his land basically on the path, maybe it wasn't quite a path back then, but if anyone crossed it, he would appear and haunt them, and those were his wishes as well. So he wanted to be here to haunt trespassers on his land long after he wasn't going to be here. Yeah, no sense of anything bad here. Apart from I'm about to be attacked by a bush. Okay, so this is the historic medieval route from Wakefield, which is still a long way away, to Halifax, known as Dark Lane, Wakefield Gate, or the Magna Via. And it's an extraordinary route. It's brilliant. It still exists, and the trees kind of form this tunnel that you walk through. Sadly, it's still a bit windy here, so hopefully you can hear me. But the story of Jonathan Walsh isn't quite over yet, because although 70 years had passed from his burial to his kind of reappearance, time had moved on, and the name Jonathan Walsh, remember, he'd been a particularly unpleasant person. He would just literally go around and attack people he didn't like, or he would sue people, and very, very unpopular. His name must still have held some kind of memory for the people of Halifax, and here was actually his skeleton. It was taken to a nearby pub and put on display, and the landlord charged people 2 pence to come and look at the skeleton of Jonathan, and thousands of people came. So now hanging in a pub as a visitor attraction is Jonathan Walsh, and the final insult comes one night when the locals all get a little bit drunk and a little bit rowdy, and they pull the skeleton from the display and kick it to pieces, and Jonathan Walsh's skeleton is then scattered outside, trampled into the dirt. A final insult to a once feared man who had been so carefully entombed in that field. Okay folks, that is the story of Jonathan Walsh and his coffin, discovered here on Coldwell Hill in 1896. A man who was feared across Halifax and continued to cause fear for decades after his passing by creating the superstition that he would return and haunt locals if they crossed his land. And maybe because of that fear and notoriety, that when he was uncovered, he was subjected to one final humiliation. I'd love to know, did he deserve that at the end? Why not put a comment below? I am expecting various degrees of yes and no. We'll see. But I hope you've enjoyed this one, and we will be back soon with more similar and unfamiliar tales. Take care. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.